Hey everybody, welcome back to We Gon' Talk. Today we're going to talk about Nikolas Cruz. For those who haven't been watching the news the last week, Nikolas Cruz is the 19-year-old that shot up the school in Florida. Before I get started, I want to first send my heartfelt condolences to all of the family that lost someone in that tragedy. So, Nikolas Cruz, you know, to me, the police and the FBI got to take the majority of the blame for this, because over the last, I guess, 7 to 8 years, I've read that they've had between 18, well, one report I read said 18 and one that said 19 run-ins with the police. So what I'm thinking, it was probably 39 over the last 7 to 8 years and maybe 18, more recently. But he's had all of these run-ins with the police, being called to his home for different acts of violence, whether it was with other kids, and a few times was even against his mother. He's hit his mother, threw her against the wall, punched holes in the wall, just different types of violence, domestic violence. Now, anybody that knows, most of the time when you have domestic violence, somebody going to jail. And leading up to this, more recently, they had got several calls, the police and the FBI, saying that, he was showing signs of getting ready to do something violent, and even said that he was going, been talking about shooting up the school. And I believe they even said he had stuff on Instagram, bragging about that he was going to be a school shooter and stuff like that. So I just don't think that there's any excuse that the police or the FBI can give as to why something wasn't done. I mean, everything was there. They had plenty of calls for this kid that something should have been done. And I'm gonna tell you, we all know that had this kid's name been a Muslim name, or he would have been known as a Muslim or a kid of color, they would have been did something to him. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. I mean, it's obvious why I say that, because we all know it's true. But I think it was last month, in the same state of Florida, there was a 7-year-old Latino boy who the police took out of the school in handcuffs because he hit his teacher with his hand in the back, with his hand. Like, how much damage can a 7-year-old do? But they took him to jail. They took him in handcuffs, and the teacher pressed charges, from what I understand, on a 7-year-old. And I'm gonna tell you, when I got out of the military, I worked at a school in Brentwood, California. For those who may not know, Brentwood is a very wealthy part of Los Angeles, which is pretty much all white and Jewish. And I worked at an after-school program, and the majority of the faculty in this after-school program were black, but the school was in high 90 percentile of white and Jewish kids. We had one particular kid, it was a little white kid, he was bad as hell. I mean, he didn't listen to nothing. He was violent. He would hit you in a minute. He stabbed me in the arm with a pencil. But we never, I didn't press charges, never thought about calling the police on him or anything. His parents was really nice people, but it was obvious that, there was something not right with him. At his he was only probably about 8 years old. I would have never thought to call the police on an 8-year-old and have him taken away in handcuffs or anything like that, And we just learned to work with him. We know, he had to have something like maybe ADHD or something, but we just learned the things that he liked that kept his attention, and we kind of worked with him, and and that kind of kept him calm. But when it's kids of color, they're quick to label them and put them on medications and, call the police and all kind of unnecessary stuff like that. But then when you have a kid like this, who's been called 39, police been called 39 times, he's been proven to have a violent temper and do acts of violence, nothing happens. Then all of a sudden, he ends up killing 17 people. Which leads me to my next, part of this. Anytime you have any kind of mass shootings, that's when the subject of gun control and, stricter gun laws come into place. Now, for one, I believe that there does need to be some kind of improvement on that, because I don't think that somebody who has proven mental health issues should be able to own a weapon, especially a high power weapon. And this guy, Cruz, from what I've read, family members have said that he suffered from depression, ADHD, OCD, autism. There's a few things. So there was no way that he should have been able to easily go purchase these guns, which from what I understand, they were purchased by him. Something needs to be done, in my opinion. I don't think the answer is taking people's guns away from them altogether. In fact, it's not the answer. But there need to be some kind of stricter laws on making sure that the wrong people don't get guns easily, because they're gonna get guns. Criminals are gonna find their way to get guns. You can make guns illegal all the way around, but as long as there's guns floating around, they're gonna get them. But somebody like this guy Cruz, it shouldn't have been so easy for him to go purchase them over the counter. And I think that's the point that a lot of people miss with these gun control people who are totally against it. It's not a matter of taking your guns away. It's just making sure that it's not so easy to go buy a gun for somebody that's mentally unstable. At least that's what it is to me. But, again, my heartfelt condolences out to the families that lost people. But we have to, we got a lot of work to do in this country. And so much of it evolves around people's perception of other people. And I believe that being that he was a privileged kid, their perception, he's just being a kid, he'll be okay. Because I feel like had that been a kid from the inner city, he wouldn't have got all those chances. He wouldn't have got all those chances. And those phone calls and warnings that people were calling and giving the police and the FBI would have been taken a lot more serious. He would have been in jail a long time ago, or at least somewhere seeking psychiatric help. But, again, that's the world we live in here. So with that topic, with the gun control being such a big topic, and you have people that are so divided on it, I just hope one day the Democrats and the Republicans can get together and really come up with something that'll satisfy both sides, but more importantly, it'll be a good solution that'll try to keep Americans safe from these kind of mass shootings, in the future. And they have the kids from that school that's organizing a march. And which, I kind of want to touch on that a little bit too, because I've been, listening to a lot of stuff on the radio, and you got a lot of these, Republicans that are accusing the Democrats of putting these kids up to it, and, basically like the kids aren't smart enough to organize and stuff like that, which is funny to me, because if the Republicans really are underestimating how smart our youth are, they're the ones that's dumb. You may not think it, but these kids are smart. Of course, they have help from adults. To think that they're not smart enough to come up with that idea, you're the crazy one, period. Because, again, if you trace back in history, in any kind of major movements, it's always the young people that's leading. So, in closing, man, like I always say, go and do your own research on it. This is just my point of view on it. Do a little homework on it, see what you think, and leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe, share the video, like the video. And again, you all have a blessed day, a blessed weekend. Enjoy your day, and be good to each other.